As you may remember, on 15th of February 1999, Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan was captured in Kenya by Turkish special agents acting in connection with CIA and Mossad. Since that day, Öcalan has been in İmralı prison. 2 days ago, 2 photos of Kurdish leader Öcalan was released at the social media. BDP delegation had taken some pictures of Mr. Öcalan during the visit that they made a few weeks ago. But on the other hand, Pervin Buldan, one of the members of the delegation, said that the photos published on the social media are not the same as they had taken. The photos has been shared by millions of people on the social media. Syrian air forces last 3 days bombed Kurdish areas in city of Aleppo. As a result of the bombardment, 3 civilians dead and at least 9 civilians heavily injured. People Defense Forces in Aleppo released an official information about the counter-attack to the regime forces. People Defense Forces carried out a counter-attack by the units in Aleppo yesterday in response to the bombing of regime neighborhood in Sheikh Maksud. According to the sources, the number of dead soldiers in Syria is 5 and 6 of them wounded. The same sources added that the process is still ongoing reprisals without any losses in the ranks of unities to protect people. The Democratic Union Party co-chair Saleh Muslim spoke at a meeting in Moscow, where he gave information about the Kurd strategy in Syria. Muslim emphasized that at this juncture, they were neither on the side of the Syrian regime that is persecuting its people, nor on the side of the opposition that is becoming increasingly reactionary. Muslim added that they took the democratic struggle as their starting points and were defending themselves against attacks. Muslim in his speech remarked that we are establishing joint assemblies in Rojava with the Armenians, Syrians, Syriacs and Arabs. As for us, the unity of people is important. Regime based on tyranny are being demolished and radical Islamists and nationalism are being encouraged. But the Kurds do not have to select either of those. Internal and external enemies wish to destroy unity amongst the Kurds. The Kurds must realize this and take a stand against it. This century can be the Kurd century. We must strengthen our unity against all dangers. Saleh Muslim said there were a variety of views regarding the future of Syria, adding that if the Geneva II conference did not recognize the will of the Kurds, they in turn would not recognize this conference. Muslim continues with these words. But the Kurds have an important role. Without them, a conference cannot achieve a result and cannot succeed. If they don't permit the Kurds to attend, then the Kurds will have the right to deny recognition. For a true peace and a bright future, it is necessary for the Kurds to attend this conference. Aldar Khalil, a member of the Kurdish Supreme Council, spoke to the Frat News Agency about the ongoing meetings between MGRK and ANKC, indicating that the results of the negotiating could emerge today. Khalil explained that while both parties have agreed to participate in Geneva II, as an independent party, there continue to be debates about certain details. Khalil reiterated that Kurds must be accepted as an essential element of the Geneva II talks, and that if Kurdish participation was rejected or relegated to a secondary status, Kurds could boycott the talks. Khalil also highlighted that the YPG was not a subject of debate, as it has proved itself to be a national establishment. Khalil summed up their aim in that meeting with 3 subjects. The first regards the position that Kurds must be allowed to Geneva II. The second is the formation of a government of democratic autonomy. And the third concerns how the Hawlia Protocol can be updated and made more practical. Khalil clarified also second military power discussion in Rojava. He said that there is no point of discussion on our agenda concerning a military power aside of the YPG. The subject of the YPG is not up for debate. Because the YPG is now a national establishment, and they have proved themselves with their heroism. They have had martyrs and produced successes. These subjects are not on the agenda for discussions. Diyarbakir 6 Criminal Court has anonymously rejected a demand for the release of 3 jailed deputies of Peace and Democracy Party, Kemal Aktaş, Selma Irmak and Faisal Sarıldız, who are tried in the scope of the so-called Kurdistan Communities Union case. Kurdish deputies from People's Democratic Party, Peace and Democracy Party launched a hunger strike to protest the recent rejections of release requests for jail deputies. People's Democratic Party HDP co-chair Sabahat Tuncel and Ertuğrul Kürkçü and HDP's Istanbul MP Sırrı Süreyya Önder and Levent Tüzel have ended the hunger strike they launched on Tuesday. HDP co-chairs, deputies and Peace and Democracy Party BDP Muş MP Demir Çelik and BDP Van MP Özal Uçar protested against court decision in Diyarbakir, which rejected the release of 5 imprisoned BDP MPs who are currently facing trial on KGK cases.
Turkey has been named the world's #1 jailer of journalists for the 2nd consecutive year, followed closely by Iran and China. The number of journalists behind bars in Turkey is 40, down from the 61 recorded in October 2012 and less than the 49 on December 2012, according to the New York-based Committee to Protect Journalists. The number of journalists killed and imprisoned fell in 2013, but despite this decrease, it was still the 2nd worst year on record for reporters in prison, and Turkey still had the world record in number of jailed journalists, holding more in custody than Iran, China, or Eritrea. The CPJ said it had contacted Turkish officials over the issue in September and was informed by the Justice Ministry that there were 54 journalists jailed on different charges. The CPJ found, however, that out of 54 jailed journalists, 40 of them were jailed for their work, and further concluded that there was not sufficient information to determine that the imprisonments in the other 14 cases were work-related, and continued its investigation over these cases. Together, Turkey, Iran and China accounted for more than half of the 232 journalists imprisoned around the world in 2013, making it the 2nd worst year since records began in 1990. The 20th of December 2011, Turkish police forces surrounded and attacked Kurdish press offices in Istanbul and other cities in Turkey and North Kurdistan. They took 46 journalists and arrested 36 Kurdish journalists, and still 19 are in jail as a detained. Government requests to remove content from Google continued to rise in the first half of this year, the company's transparency report shows. Turkey tops the list in requests removed over the second half of the year. In an update to its transparency report, Google said it saw a 68% jump in requests in the second half of the year compared to the prior 6-month period, led by marked increases from Turkey and Russia. Turkey's requests saw a record 966% increase compared to the previous reporting period, according to the report. The Turkish government has made 1,673 requests to Google for the removal of over 12,000 items, including search links relating to Kurdish political officials, logos and scandals, which the company refused to remove, according to Google's report. Requests were also made on a variety of other subjects, including a blog containing information about Kurdish activists who had profile pictures displaying maps that depicted the geographical area of Kurdistan. The company did not remove those requested pages either, the report stated. From January to June 2013, Google said it had received 3,846 government requests to remove 24,737 pieces of content.
The Human Rights Association declared the 19th of December 2002 as a Human Rights Struggle in Prisons and Solidarity Day. For this purpose, the Human Rights Association published their report. According to the IHD report, the massacres and abuses in prisons continues on its anniversary day. IHD branch that drew attention on human rights violations in Turkey's prisons released their report within the first 6 months of 2013. The report emphasized on the ill treatment and torture practices in Turkey's eastern and southeastern region prisons, warning that death toll could climb due to sick inmates who are still waiting for release. The report highlights since the AKP government came into power, the number of prisons increased by 2.5 and the number of inmates in current situation is reached to 140,520. There are 163 prisoners suffering from serious illness and needs urgent care, said the Human Rights Association. Human Rights report said the following: even though we applied to officials several times concerning human rights abuses, most of our efforts yielded no results or officials didn't show the willingness to resolve the issue. Therefore, Turkey's prisons have more and more problems. The report also cited that transfers resumed in 2013, a practice that the report claimed to be used as an intervention to yield inmates. Report claimed that inmates were frequently subjected to torture and isolation during transfers. According to data from the Turkish Ministry of Justice, every week 5 coffins comes out of the Turkish prisons. Despite judicial reforms and Human Rights Association efforts, 417 inmates' applications for release are denied. Report says judicial reforms have seriously flaws and are yet to fulfill our demands, and it is widely known that Turkey's Forensic Institute lost its impartiality towards inmates and issued reports in a political fashion. Human Rights states that we are calling to all officials one more time. We keep on hearing death tolls from prisons. This issue must be resolved immediately. This issue must be resolved not only through judicial reforms, but with a realistic approach. All sick inmates must be released immediately. Otherwise, we will keep on hearing sad news from prisons. We also added that the situation of 150 sick inmates were critical. There must be a resolution immediately. The report explicitly listed the following human rights violations: 872 in Turkey's eastern and southeastern region prisons within the first 6 months of 2013 as follows: deaths in prisons 4, torture 94, transfer 350, health checkup abuse 73, family visit bans 7, isolation and confinement 99, violation of communication rights 6, violation of mother tongue rights 1, for other reasons 11.
Ben Hamit Kapan, Kahramanmaraş katliamı olduğunda 22 yaşındaydım.
Çözülen bir yün yumağı, akıp giden günlerim.
Neredeyse bir hafta süren ve yüzlerce insanın ölümüne sebep olan katliamı birebir yaşadım. İnsanlarımızı fişlediler, evlerimizi işaretlediler.
Savrulan yapraklar gibi akıp giden günlerimiz, cenaze törenlerinde sessiz sitemsiz.
1978 was one of those sad and deadly years in history for Kurdish and Alevi people. We were used to deaths, bombs and funerals. Fascists, backed by secret police, were everywhere. They bombed revolutionary students at Istanbul University, leaving 8 dead, 47 wounded in spring. They were assassinating our professors, academicians. Abducted buses, raided houses, tortured and murdered youngsters were daily events. Newspapers were giving daily death tolls like meteorology reports. At December 18, a theater was bombed at Kahramanmaraş. It was clearly a provocation of the extreme right fascists. At 21st December, fascists murdered 2 teachers, and next day, at 22nd, they attacked the people who participated the funerals. At 24th, they began to set fires at some neighborhoods. And between 22nd and 26th of December, 105 dead and more than 1,000 wounded. There was no limit to their violence. They killed even the fetuses in young women's wombs. It was not just the clashes between Alevi and Sunni, but a planned mass murder, massacre of fascists. Massacre engraved on our minds and become the clearest description of the reality of fascism. And here we are after 35 years. Time passed, world changed, we changed. But one thing did not change. We do not forget. We will never forget.
Çözülen